Good morning, fellow Firewood fanatics. This is Chris, and we are on location. We are on a commercial property that I got access to cut some trees down. I've been here a couple different times, and yesterday I was here when it was like 92 degrees, and I sweat probably 10 gallons of sweat yesterday, and I got leg cramps and back cramps and hand cramps and everything. It was horrible. I had to quit work and I couldn't do it anymore. Today's much better. A storm came through, it cooled down. About 10 degrees, so now it's only about 80 degrees, and it's supposed to stay like right around that. Breezy, a little drier air, so much nicer. So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to first load up these rounds that I cut from the tops from the two big cottonwood trees that I cut down. As you can see right here, some of the rounds I cut up, and they were down there. Those are the two stumps, and they fell this way. And then Al, who's the owner of the land, came with his little D3 cat, and he pulled out the two big cottonwoods right here, so they're right nice and close. Only bad thing is he dragged them farther than he needed to, and he dragged them through the dirt. I wish he would have just pulled them a little bit, but he wanted to get them out of the way, so there they are. So here's one, and the other one's over there. And then we went down into the hole, as I like to call it. It's the area that's going to be filled in. Everything I'm standing on now is about 10 feet deep of fill. They've been filling here, he said, for like 10 years now. He just keeps bringing stuff in. So we were down in the hole yesterday, which is way back here, and it's kind of a soupy, swampy kind of nastiness. It's real close to the wetlands, and so back in the corner where the silt fence is where the trees were. So I cut those down, and then he pulled them out with the cat right up through here. And the logs that he pulled out are right over here, and there's two cherry trees and two ash trees that he pulled out. So this is the good stuff here. And so yeah, he pulled them out, and I'm going to get those all cut up, and then we're going to load them up, and then we're going to haul them back to the wood yard and put them in the pile with the rest of the wood of my mountain of wood, as my son says. He's got a mountain of wood over there. So anyway, that's what we're going to do. We're going to load it up, and then we're going to take it and dump it right now. Well, that was not very much fun. Basically, I cut a bunch of dirt. The tree he dragged out for me yesterday, which was awesome to get it up, out of the hole down there, so I don't have to carry him off the bank. But he could have I should have had him stop right there. I should have told him, just as soon as you get it up, stop. Because he dragged him all the way up here, and so all the bark is just full of dirt. Like that, it's just caked in. Dirt and mud and rocks and stones, and so yeah, I had to cut through all that. So my first saw I was cutting with, it cut really good for the first 5-6 cuts, and I got a little duller and a little duller, and a short period of time it was like cutting with a bowling ball. So then I shut that one off because it was getting ridiculous. Went to the second saw, same thing. I got 3-4 really good cuts, and then they got dull again. So now I have to sharpen both of those up because I want to get these bigger ones ripped down, because these are pretty substantially sized. This butt end here, it's not the biggest, but I'm pretty sure those probably each weigh a couple 100 pounds. So you can see they're pretty big. So I'm going to rip them down so I can throw them in the trailer easier, and then I'll lift them onto the splitter eventually too. So probably all the way up to, I'll probably rip down everything all the way up to where there was a crotch. Right here's the crotch, and I ripped this one already. So I'll probably rip all those down just to make it easier. And then these are no problem at all. But once they get to be this big, they start to be what I call hernia-inducing chunks. And I don't want another one. One was my limit. So we're going to do some ripping and some loading. So I've been ripping for a while, and I thought of a few things I thought that I could talk about that might be interesting to some of you that maybe don't rip big pieces very often, or have never thought of it, or don't know how. The two saws I use, well, I use 4 saws actually. I've got 2 576 XPs, and I got two 576s and 2 572s. The 72s are the new ones. I like them actually better than the old 576s. When I'm ripping, they seem to clear out better on the bottom. I think this is more open under there. They just seem to clear out better when I'm ripping into these noodles, they call them. And one of the things that you got to keep in mind when you're cutting, when you're ripping like this, number one, is you want to cut on the bark side down. You do not want to cut on the end grain. I mean, you can do it, but you're going to work twice as hard. It's going to take 3 times as long to cut. So you want to rip it the direction of the grain of the wood. So you're going to start on the bark side and cut down. And if you got a softer wood, like this cottonwood or aspen or white pine, stuff like that, the saw, if you got it good and sharp, the saw will cut faster than it can clean itself out. So you can't let the saw just drop, and you can't push down at all, because it'll clog up on you, because it can't clear out the noodles fast enough. As you can see, there's a lot of noodles here, a lot of sawdust. So what you got to do is you got to kind of actually hold your saw up, because it'll bog out on you. You got to kind of let it clear itself out. You got to kind of hold it and let it go through. It cuts real fast that way. I mean, I've cut everything from hickory to oak to, you know, pretty much all the wood that there is that's around here. I've ripped birch, I've ripped hard maple, soft maple, like I said, hickories, different kinds of oak. But these softer woods like this cottonwood and aspen, they rip real easy. They're so juicy and so wet that you got to actually hold your saw up, because it'll rip so fast you can't clean out the debris fast enough. And so yeah, that's what you do. And I rip them down usually almost all the way, because you don't want to hit the ground, obviously. And then I'll either flip them over, or I'll just give them a little pry, and they'll pop apart once you get down to like, say I'm cutting from the top. If I was cutting from the top this way, once you get down to like about an inch, half an inch or so, usually you can give your saw just a little twist and it'll pop them apart. So anyway, that's a little bit on the noodling. And like I said, the reason I'm ripping these down is because these are probably a couple 100 pounds a piece, or close to it. Once you get over 20 inches, they start to get real heavy. And this is so wet, wood is so wet that there's just tons and tons of moisture in it. So like, it'll lose way more than 50% of its weight once it dries out. So I like to rip these down, you know, anything that's over, like say 16, 18 inches or so, anything bigger than that, I like to rip and make them a little lighter, so I don't hurt myself again. So we're gonna rip some more. Here we go. So there, all the ripping is done. And now I'm gonna load this load up, finish it off, take it, dump it, get some lunch, come back, and then we're gonna either cut that one up, or we're gonna go over here and we're gonna cut the good stuff. That's the ash and cherry right over there in those logs. So I wanna get it all done today, because tomorrow this is all gonna get filled in with dirt. So we gotta get it done. Ow. Be back. Back, and I'm ready to cut. So what we're going to do now is start cutting on all of these, the good stuff here, as I like to call it. It's ash and cherry trees. There's 2 ash trees and 2 cherry trees. We got probably 90% of what was down in the hole there. Again, it's all covered in mud and rocks and clay and sand and dirt, all that good stuff. So I'm going to cut the bottom, roll it, and then try to cut up so I'm not chewing up the chains, but they're going to get dull. But all the chains I have on all three of my saws right now are old ones, so they're pretty much wore out, so it's no big deal if I get a few chips out of them. But anyway, that's what we're going to do. So cutting happens now. The cutting is done. I used all three saws and it went through about 2.5 tanks of gas, and it should only take me about 1.5, because every single saw about halfway through, because I'm cutting through all this mud and stuff you see on here, because it's just caked on everywhere, as you can see. I tried to avoid it best I could, but I mean, look at this. So saws got dull fast, and towards the end it was like trying to cut with a bowling ball. Just terrible. I don't think I could even cut a stick of soft butter right now with any one of my three saws. It's just terrible. So I was blue smoke coming out at the end. I just wanted to get it done, so I just kept going even though I was fighting it. I got 2 new chains along, but I didn't want to put them on because I didn't want to ruin them cutting into stones and dirt and all this stuff that's on the bark of these rounds here on these logs. So I figured I'd just work the saw a little harder and get through it. Now those chains are all trash, so I'm just going to chuck them and put all new chains on. So now this will be the last I cut, other than that one log over there on the far side. But yeah, I ripped a few of these down, but I ran out of gas, so I just quit. So I just now took the splitting axe, the Fiskars X27, and I just knocked some of these down a little bit. This one here I beat on it, and I couldn't get anything to happen because it's got knots all the way around. So almost impossible to split it. So I am going to start loading now. So I'm going to start chucking the rounds in and fill up the trailer. And if I can't get it all in, I'm just going to come back and do another load because I'm only 3 miles away. So wood chucking's going to happen now. There it is. It is load bed. The wood chucking is going to cease for a little while. All I got left is these few little rounds here, a couple over there, and a few here, and then a little bit of the cottonwood from yesterday got left over there. And I think I'm going to go back and dump this load. And when I get done dumping that, I'm going to sharpen my saws. I'm going to come back and that big cottonwood log, I'm going to cut that one up, and I should be able to fill the trailer with what's left, and then this job will be done for now. I still got a couple other trees he wants cut, but I don't have to do it yet because I just want to get rid of these to get rid of them for the fill that's going to be coming. But that big cottonwood over there is a double over there I'm going to be able to cut down, and then there's a couple more ash trees in there I can cut down too, but they're on the other side of the silt fence or right on it, so as they fill, it'll be sloped to the tree and I'll be able to back right to it then once I cut it down, once they get the fill in. So it's not going to be in the way that like the other ones were. So anyway, we're heading out now. Well folks, the end is very near. I just went over to where I was loading the other wood. The stuff that was left I threw in, so that's loaded. So all it is left to do is this one right behind the camera. I'll show you in a second. Big piece of cottonwood. I'm going to cut it up, and it's a pretty big one, so I'll have to do some ripping on it. I got 2 saws gassed up ready to go, and this is the end for now. I am going to come back eventually and I'll do some more cutting down over in the hole over there, but this is the last one to cut right here, this bad boy. It's a good one, so I'm going to start cutting right now. Here we go. Well folks, that is it. I am one tired, hungry little boy. I got it all loaded. You can see all the noodlies here on the ground from where I cut it up. And so it's the second load today. And I was just counting. I have now cut 8.5 loads from this job here. I cut the big oaks down over there, and then all the stuff I've been getting the last 3 days now. And so that's 8.5 loads. So average load for me is just a little over 4 face cords. So if I did 8, it'd be 32, plus I know some of the loads had like an extra half a face cord. So that means that I'm probably somewhere around 34, 35 face cords I've gotten from this property, all free wood. And that wood will sell for, on average, just a little over $100 a face cord. All the cottonwood goes into my mixed hardwood for campfire wood. I sell that for $100 a face cord. All the oak goes into the oak pile, and that is sold for $110 a face cord. And the cherry goes into the cherry, and that is sold for $120 a face cord. And the ash gets, that's also $100 a face cord. So, no, 110 is the ash. So I know just from this job, I'm probably real close to like $3,700. But I still got to split it, still got to stack it, still got to deliver it. But that was all free wood. This is going to be, this year, this is going to be my 39th or 40th, I'm not sure, 39th or 40th load of free wood that I've cut. Just getting names off of Craigslist, people that I know that have called me, helping people out, and have given me wood. So that means that I'm somewhere in the neighborhood of right around 140, 150 at least face cords of free wood. So that's $15,000 worth of wood. Free. Did you hear that? Free. All I had to do all the work. But I don't own land where I can go cut wood. I just do this on friends' land, and like I say, off of Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, people I know, people call me. So there's money to be made out there if you're ambitious, and this is what I like doing. So that is it for today. Thanks for watching. Please hit the like, subscribe button. You know what to do. Give them a poke or two, and I'll see you tomorrow. Same wood time, same wood channel. Good night, Irene.